Hi, I'm Bomita Gokhale and extremely happy to announce my 12th episode with Sheila Navlakar. Sheila is a communications expert, certified coach, and MC with over 15 years of experience. She has worked with leading organizations such as Hamburg Sud, Force Motors, Provoke, Emerson, Sula Wines. She is passionate about empowering people and helping them break barriers so that they can lead a life of transparency, authenticity, joy, fulfillment, and personal success. Her work style involves a blend of rewiring the mindset and teaching skills to enable her clients to become ace communicators and influencers. Sheila is also a passionate sourdough baker, fitness enthusiast, and loves tribal art, music, and travel. She happens to be a great friend of mine too, and I'm one of the lucky members who have been able to taste the sourdough that she bakes. Let us welcome Sheila to this podcast. Hi, Sheila, how are you?
I'm fine, Mamita. How are you doing?
I'm doing good too, and thank you for making time for this conversation on Rendezvous, the story of power, passion, and purpose.
Most welcome, and I'm very excited.
So, Sheila, looking at your profile and interacting with you has always been a pleasure. So, how has these words played a role in your life? Power, passion, and purpose.
Okay, so I'm going to break it down. I just want to make it clear this is my perspective. So let me talk about purpose first. I was having a conversation actually with my daughter the other week. So we were talking about purpose, and she's a young adult, and she was telling me that, Ma, I haven't found my purpose in life. I said, okay. I said, well, I didn't either at your age. I said, it's very few people find their purpose early on in life. And she said, why does it have to be one purpose? Why can't it be multiple purposes that we have? And I absolutely agree with her. I think life is full of, we have different purposes for different things. I think some of us are fortunate to discover a higher purpose. And I don't think it's something that I have actively sought. I think it has just come to me. And I think some of the mistakes that we make is because there is so much pressure on people to find their purpose. What is your ikigai? What is your higher purpose? That it can be very, very stressful. And people feel as if they failed if they haven't found their purpose. So I feel, to me, purpose is it can keep changing. So the goalpost keeps changing. So if I look at when I was young, if I look back, my purpose was probably to do well in my exams or to win this. I used to play a lot of sports, win matches. Later on in life, it was college, get the degree, then get a job, then get married, then raise a family, then work again. And I think I stumbled upon my purpose. I think I stumbled across it, or it just came to me. So I think purpose for me is something that just gives me something to focus on. It gives me a lot of inner happiness and joy, and a reason to kind of jump out of bed and get up in the morning. And I have a lot of different purposes, but of course the higher purpose for me is contribution and service, which I think it is for a lot of people in our field, right, Mamita?
Yeah. So I think that's a great way to start, and purpose. And I completely agree with you, Sheila, when you say all of us have multiple purposes in different phases of life. And I think the bigger purpose, or people use the word, what's your calling? Perhaps that's something. And when we put that as a goal, I need to understand my purpose, then the entire definition of purpose gets questioned, right? We cannot put it as a task.
And I think it's the joy of finding your purpose.
Yeah.
I think the key is, have a lot of experiences, explore, have a lot of experiences, try a lot of new things, keep an open mind, and the purpose will come to you eventually.
Yeah, very well put. So how do you see passion playing a role in this?
I think passion is something that I think purpose is a foundation that can lead to passion. So let me give you an example. I'm going to give a lot of examples here. So during the lockdown, I couldn't find fresh bread, and I love my toast in the morning. So I decided to bake bread, and I'm not somebody who bakes actually. So I started with just normal bread, and it's quite easy. I always thought it would be really difficult, but I found it wasn't very easy, and it was just a means to an end. The purpose was just to make bread and eat it. Then I decided that I quite enjoyed it. And then I moved to sourdough bread. And Momita, we've spoken about my sourdough bread as well. And it's a passion for me. Now, when I look back, I wonder, how did I stick to sourdough baking? Because it's not easy. It's a science. I think the first 6 months or 7 months were just failures. The sourdough, it didn't rise properly, it didn't turn out well, but for some reason I kept at it because I kept seeing a slight improvement every time. So what just started off as just a means to an end actually became the end in itself. It's just the journey. I just loved the journey, and it became something that I didn't have to push myself to do. It was effortless, and it gave me a lot of joy and happiness, and I was really driven to do this. So I think, passion, started off with purpose, and then the passion came out of it. And I think it's perseverance and going through the failures and the discomfort. And I think that's how you truly feel passion. And I've spoken to, a lot of my clients saying, we don't feel passionate about anything. How do you find what you're passionate about? And I think you have to keep at something. You have to keep moving out of your comfort zone, and you have to deal with the failures and the obstacles. But once you go through that, you will suddenly find that it's something that you can develop and you feel passionate about. So stick with it, perseverance.
Yeah. So once you take the example of sourdough bread, Sheila, I think that defines passion, because I've tasted that bread and it is just out of the world. So obviously that's passion. Now, if I have to bring in the third P and power, so how does power fit into this journey of purpose and passion?
So when I think of power, I think power as the freedom to choose, freedom to have choice. So it could be the freedom to say no, the power to say no, the power to set your boundaries, the power to influence. Now, a lot of people think, when they think of power, they think of it with very negative connotations. So I'm not talking about that. How you wield your power is really based on your value system, your belief system. So for me, it's being authentic, having some control over your choices, whether rather than being overcome or overpowered by fear and hesitations. And I think you get power in your life by, again, working through the fears, the discomfort. So for me, when I think of the clients that I work with, a lot of them feel very helpless when it comes to, let's say, communication, talking in meetings, for example, public speaking. And I can completely identify with this because I did grow up having a fear of public speaking. And a lot of people are surprised when they hear this. But I was petrified. Even standing up in class and talking in front of the teacher was so stressful for me. And then when I had to speak, I would go blank, and I know words would come out of my mouth, but I had no idea what I was saying. And the only reason that I actually overcame that fear was, again, by coincidence. Somebody asked me to train their staff. I said no for 6 months, and finally I said yes. I said, Sheila, these opportunities don't come knocking all the time. And for me, the purpose, again, going back to purpose, and I'll connect it, was just to overcome my fear of public speaking. I overcame that, and then I realized that, it was making a difference in people's lives. And then, once I introduced that, it was first developing their skills and the coaching aspect to deal with the mindset. And when there was alignment, I could see the change that would happen in people's lives and the power they would have from maybe even being invisible to being visible. The power to walk into a meeting and to start the meeting, to conduct the meeting, to contribute. The power to go into a room and talk to anyone in any situation. But again, how you use that power, how you wield that power, all boils down to who you are, your attitude, your values.
Yeah.
And they do say that power can change your character. I don't think power changes your character. I think it brings out your character. So if you're manipulative, you're going to be more manipulative. If you're kind, you're going to be kind. Yes, some people get power very quickly if we're talking about that kind of power, and they go off balance. But I think if you have a strong value system, a set of values, you will go you will get back into the,
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that in, because when I was also looking at the 3 Ps, and perhaps when I started this, and the way I looked at power is passion and purpose. Most of the time we know what I'm passionate about, okay, and perhaps I also have a purpose in life. But if I'm not using my power to fuel it, if I'm not confident enough, or if I don't have that within, willpower to push myself for that, the way you said, possibly the passion and purpose do not get aligned. And then, and I'm so happy and so glad that you're bringing that's power from within, your own willpower.
It is self-power. It's also, and it gives you a sense of also a self-confidence, a stability, a certainty, I would say.
Yes.
And stuff. Yes. And I think you can own. And how do you get the power? Through skill development, through knowledge, through experiences.
Yeah, and definitely
being observant.
Yes, and definitely it's not the hierarchical power that I was talking about, and I'm so glad that we are bringing that alignment here. So Sheila, now that you and me have got talking, and perhaps for us, and life has revealed, and we have come to a stage where we kind of understand our purpose, our passions, and we are managing our power. But what about those who are yet to discover? So what would you want to tell them? How can they unleash their purpose, their passion, and their power within?
So I think you have to live life. You have to explore. You have to keep an open mind. You have to build experiences. You have to try new things. So for example, for me, it was, I've traveled a lot. It was music. It was different jobs, trying things that failed and realizing, no, that's not what I want to do. That's not my purpose. Listening to your inner voice, perhaps. But I think the main thing is keep an open mind and, learn things, have new experiences, and it's never too old. I have a brother-in-law who, even at the age of 91, he's still trying new things. He took up photography at the age of 60, I think, and took up golf at the age of 70. So age is never a factor. And your purpose does keep changing, right? So, so for me, the higher purpose for me is my work, my service, my contribution. And I think what drives me is seeing the change in people's lives and not wanting their inability to communicate, to hold them back in any way, to deal with that inner anxiety, So, and I think, and I think don't stress about, the fact that you haven't found your purpose. Enjoy your life, be mindful, enjoy whatever experiences you have, and persevere when it comes to learning something new. Don't give up, because something that you persevere at could be something that you end up being really, really passionate about, and it gives you the higher purpose. And I think, Momita, you and I have both done that. We've worked through different roles and different things, but we stuck to certain things and we followed an inner calling, an inner voice.
Yeah, and that's the power, right? And I think a very critical point, Sheila, and that's what I hear in my coaching sessions is, why am I not getting this? And pushing oneself will not reach what I'm meant for.
I think there is a lot of pressure in the media as well, when there's so much literature about find your purpose. If you do this exercise, you will find your purpose. Let it come to you. Let it happen organically. A lot of people feel purpose is overrated. Some people, so it's a perspective. But enjoy what life has to offer. Explore, broaden your horizons. I know it sounds very cliche, but it's very true. And keep an open mind.
But I'm glad you're bringing this out in this rendezvous, because we have been talking of power, passion, and purpose. And definitely the purpose is not to push people into it. It's to experience it the way it comes for one. So
I think discovery is also the joy, right? The journey, the discovery of it. And it's interesting when you have discovered it, or one of your purposes, how it came about. It's normally something you just happen to chance upon and you stuck with it.
Exactly.
Sometimes you find your purpose through failures as well.
Yes, and again, get up and pursue something new, something different. And your brother-in-law's example was amazing, that there's no age. You can start anything and everything at any particular time when you are ready. So Sheila, if I have to ask you maybe the final question for today, 2 cents from Sheila, to the listeners on the 3Ps?
I think if you haven't found your power, don't get stressed about it. It will come to you. It will reveal itself, but it's not that you have to just sit there and do nothing. Experience life. Life goes by very quickly, make the most of it. Enjoy doing things, enjoy doing whatever you're doing and keep upskilling, learning new things, be curious, push your boundaries. It's okay to move out of your comfort zone. You must, because that's how you grow. And sometimes when you go through the discomfort and the uncertainty, that's where you find your passion in life. And the passion is something that it just brings joy to you. It brings a drive and an emotion that it just fuels a lot of happiness. And you walk with a little skip. I think that's the passion. But then you have to try things to get to it. And I think the power, again, is the power, I would say more the confidence and having some control over your life. Of course, we can't control everything, but at least you have the freedom of choice.
Yeah.
So always learn, be curious, be kind, of course. And when you do have power, make sure that you use it wisely.
Yeah. Thank you, Sheila. I think that action is the key takeaway. That's what I hear. It's not that I keep sitting and waiting when the purpose will arrive and, when will I get my passion, but keep doing something and, kind of exploring. I think these are the two key words.
Yeah. And I think another key point is that many times the purpose is not about yourself. It's the higher purpose, I would say, is being selfless and contribution and service. And, I always heard this growing up and I'm like, oh, that's so cliched. Oh my God, whatever. But it's actually true. That's what really gives you the most happiness, I feel.
Yeah. Awesome. Because to feel powerful, but to be able to let go at the same time, I think that's what the real power is.
Yeah. And I think also to be humble and to be grateful for what you have. And, and if you're in the space of service, there's nothing like it. Yeah. Imagine how you're impacting so many people's lives as well as your own in the process.
So that's a wonderful way to close this conversation. Be kind, be humble. Sheila, thank you so much for this opportunity and take care and all the best.
Thank you, Momita, for inviting me today. I had a great time.
Thank you. Well, that was Sheila sharing her experience on the 3Ps, and perhaps the best message that I take away with me is keep doing something, keep enjoying something, and experience life as it comes to you. Push yourself, get out of your comfort zone, and there you see your passion, purpose, and power all getting aligned, giving you a great life. Thanks for listening to us today.